We know that COVID-19 has had a huge impact on our lives, but when it comes to how we spend our money, just how big and what exactly are those changes? Well, I'm going to try and answer some of those questions with the help of my friend Derrick Fung, who is the CEO of Drop, which is a next generation rewards program. And as a point of disclosure, I own a few shares of that company. We will dig into some of the largest purchase panels in North America to see how millions of people are actually spending their money on a week-to-week basis. We're just experimenting with a lot of things to do with the show. It's my first time using an instantaneous editor, but what that would allow us to do is eventually live stream the show and take questions in real time. And we don't know where the show will live in the long run, maybe on YouTube, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe both. We don't really know. Right now, we're targeting one topic per week, and we're looking at 5 to 10 minutes per show. And we'd be interested in hearing your feedback along the way. For now, I'll post the show episodes here on my channel as a regular segment until we figure things out. In our first episode, we dig into the data behind how much people are spending on playing video games at home now that they're locked down. How big is that increase, and which of the big platforms is winning out? And so without further ado, here is the pilot episode of Spent. We hope you like it. Hi, my name is Preet Banerjee, and I'm the host of Spent, where every week I'll be speaking with Derrick Fung, and we'll be diving deep into the data from some of the largest purchase panels in North America. Derrick, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Preet.
Why don't we start by explaining a little bit about Cardify? What is Cardify, and what can people expect out of this show?
Yeah, Cardify is a website, cardify.ai, where we release reports on a weekly basis around some of the most interesting consumer trends that we're seeing today, from gaming to Zoom, video conferencing to Peloton. And you can check out the website, www.cardify.ai, for all the latest reports and trends on where consumers are spending their money.
Excellent. So let's dig right into it right away. So this week, we're going to start talking about the console wars. And the premise here is that with the shelter in place and people having to stay home, they can't go out to spend their money on entertainment, so they have to entertain themselves at home. And so the theory is that a lot of people will be spending more time and possibly more money on video games. But let's see if that is in fact the case. So here's some charts pulled up by Cardify. So walk us through what's going on.
Yeah, so, Preet, I don't know about you, but ever since we've been in this stay-at-home world, I've dug out some of my dusty old games, and I've started playing them.
What are you playing?
Games that I haven't played for years, many years. And
you play Animal Crossing? Are you one of those Animal Crossing freaks?
Animal Crossing, which is one of the hottest games today. But I've been playing a ton of Blizzard, Activision Blizzard games that I played growing up. But we just, we got curious. We just asked ourselves, hey, is it just us that's doing this, or are others doing it as well? And if you look at this graph, you'll see very clearly a massive hockey stick that started to occur late March, early April, which is a testament to, hey, consumers are playing games more than they have before, and not just a small increase. If you look at the graph, it's with Nintendo specifically, that's a 6x increase from pre-COVID to after this lockdown.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me, Derrick, is that Nintendo's shown such a huge increase that it dwarfs the increase that is still significant for the other two big players, which are PlayStation and Xbox. So the second graph here it's the same data, but it backs out Nintendo just so we can see with a little bit more granularity that yes, it's across the board. PlayStation and Xbox have also increased, but Nintendo has just skyrocketed. And is that all because of Animal Crossing, which is a Nintendo platform, right?
What I think it is largely Animal Crossing. But when you really dive into what Animal Crossing is, it's a hyper-casual game. You can learn it within, you play it once, twice. You can learn it probably within, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's such a simple game. I don't play it, but from hearing all my friends play the game, it's simple. And if you look at the App Store, the top 10 games, they're all hyper casual games. Remember that game you played on like Facebook Messenger, like the basketball hoops game? You remember like Brick Breaker,
I never
Snake?
played any of those stupid games on Facebook.
These are, yeah,
Like
they're
Candy Crush
addicting.
Saga. Oh,
They're
sorry. Maybe I'm an
addicting. It's like
elitist.
Mario Party, Candy Crush. They're all addicting. Like my dad plays Candy Crush, and he's still trying to figure out how to use his Facebook. And then the next thing he figured out was how to play Candy Crush. They're all super super easy to play games, and I
Well,
think
you know
that's
what?
why.
What's interesting about Candy Crush and many other games is it used to be back in the day, back in my days, you would buy the console, you'd buy the games, which was
Back in your
one
days.
purchase. Yes.
You're not that
And
much
it was
older
a
than me,
cartridge or a disc. And then
Yeah.
after that, you didn't have any further outlay. But today you have subscriptions, you have in-app
Yeah.
purchases. And that's what we're going to take a look at next here is what is driving the mix of spending. And we see that, yeah, subscriptions are creeping up a little bit in pink at the bottom, and that's significant. But what's really blowing away is the other category, which is hardware and also the in-game purchases. So walk us through what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, gaming over the last 5-10 years has really seen a massive shift away from the traditional, hardware, and you got to buy, physical games, to all being on the cloud. If you buy a console, you can just download all the games off your Wi-Fi. So what you're seeing here is, subscriptions being relatively flat. Like people, are spending more money on in-app purchases, virtual goods. So like buying outfits in games to like, new tools you can use, special levels.
Even digital
And that's
real
what
estate. I hear that
digital
people
real
are spending
estate, that's the
thousands
future.
of dollars on digital real estate, which does not
Digital
exist in
real
the real
estate.
world, but it's
the new
turned
world.
into its own currency almost.
It really is, and that's what you're seeing here. Like, look how massive that jump is.
Massive spike in the
Yeah.
other category. Okay, now let's take a look at some other metrics. So when it comes to who is driving the new purchases, who's doing the heavy lifting? Is it the same as before? Has there been a shift based on age?
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. On Cardify website, you'll see we did a report on Peloton recently, which, they just announced earnings last week and massive spike in their stock, and a large part of it is driven by millennial men. The whole like Soul Cycle movement. A lot of women were driving that movement before, but now in this new environment, Peloton saw a massive spike in men using their product, and gaming is quite the opposite. You'll see here that it's actually been more women that have been driving the massive spike in
Yeah,
gaming.
that's here on the next chart here. Yeah, so we see that the increase pre-COVID and during COVID is 2.7x for women. It's still an increase for men, 1.9, but it's less than the 2.7 for women. And you mentioned Peloton, and it was the opposite, where there was a bigger increase for men. But also, wasn't it the Generation Z was actually doing a lot of the purchasing as well for those $3,000 bikes?
Yeah, yeah. It was the Gen Z, Gen Z demographic, and with gaming, not different. It's in gaming. It's been interesting. It's actually the older skewed demographic and the younger skewed demographic who have all been revisiting, probably, for the older demographic, their younger childhood memories and getting reinvigorated in some of the most popular, games out there in the market.
Very interesting. All right, we'll leave it there. But if people want to find out more information, where do they go?
Cardify.ai, Cardify, Cardify.ai.
All right, thanks once again, Derrick, and we will see you next week on Spent. I can already tell that Derrick and I are going to have a lot of fun digging into the data on various topics from week to week. Also, for my Canadian viewers, it's just a reminder that I have a second channel for Canadian-only personal finance content. And there's been maybe 20 videos there that I've posted in the last 2 months related to COVID-19. So if you're Canadian, don't forget to check out that other channel. And lastly, a public service announcement. I'm happy to give some space to an organization called Media Smarts for an important message. Look, producing videos on YouTube like this isn't like making ventilators for hospitals or making a cure in a lab. And we also know that not everyone is or can be a frontline worker. But luckily, there is something the rest of us can do. We can stop the spread of misinformation about COVID-19. Sharing bad info about COVID-19 can do real harm. It can even be deadly. Before you share, pause, check the source, and make sure it's legit. Check first, share after. And that's it for this week. I'll see you in the next video.